Chapter 1, Part 1 of the 8 Strokes of the Clock. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Lemy. The 8 Strokes of the Clock by Maurice Leblanc. Chapter 1, Part 1. Author's Note. These adventures were told to me in the old days by Arsène Lupin, as though they had happened to a friend of his named Prince Rénine. As for me, considering the way in which they were conducted, the actions, the behavior, and the very character of the hero, I find it very difficult not to identify the two friends as one and the same person. Arsène Lupin is gifted with a powerful imagination, and is quite capable of attributing to himself adventures which are not his at all, and of disowning those which are really his. The reader will judge for himself. M.L. On the top of the tower. Hortense Daniel pushed her window ajar and whispered, "Are you there, Rossini?" "I'm here," replied a voice from the shrubbery at the front of the house. Leaning forward, she saw a rather fat man looking up at her out of a gross red face with its cheeks and chin set in unpleasantly fair whiskers. "Well?" he asked. "Well, I had a great argument with my uncle and aunt last night. They absolutely refused to sign the document of which my lawyer sent them the draft, or to restore the dowry squandered by my husband." "But your uncle is responsible for the terms of the marriage settlement." "No matter, he refuses." "Well, what do you propose to do?" "Are you still determined to run away with me?" she asked, with a laugh. "More so than ever." "Your intentions are strictly honorable, remember." "Just as you please. You know that I am madly in love with you." "Unfortunately, I am not madly in love with you." "Then what made you choose me?" "Chance. I was bored. I was growing tired of my humdrum existence. So I'm ready to run risks. Here's my luggage. Catch." She let down from the window a couple of large leather kit-bags. Rossini caught them in his arms. "The die is cast," she whispered. "Go and wait for me with your car at the crossroads. I shall come on horseback." "Hang it, I can't run off with your horse." "He will go home by himself." "Capital. Oh, by the way, what is it? Who is this Prince Rénine, who's been here the last 3 days and whom nobody seems to know?" "I don't know much about him. My uncle met him at a friend's shoot, and asked him here to stay." "You seem to have made a great impression on him. You went for a long ride with him yesterday. He's a man I don't care for." "In 2 hours I shall have left the house in your company. The scandal will cool him off. Well, we've talked long enough. We have no time to lose." For a few minutes she stood watching the fat man bending under the weight of her traps as he moved away in the shelter of an empty avenue. Then she closed the window. Outside, in the park, the huntsmen's horns were sounding the réveillé. The hounds burst into frantic baying. It was the opening day of the hunt that morning at the Château de la Marèze, where, every year, in the first week in September, the Comte d'Aigleroche, a mighty hunter before the Lord, and his countess were accustomed to invite a few personal friends and the neighboring landowners. Hortense slowly finished dressing, put on a riding habit, which revealed the lines of her supple figure, and a wide-brimmed felt hat, which encircled her lovely face and auburn hair, and sat down to her writing-desk, at which she wrote to her uncle, Monsieur d'Aigleroche, a farewell letter to be delivered to him that evening. It was a difficult letter to word, and, after beginning it several times, she ended by giving up the idea. "I will write to him later," she said to herself, "when his anger has cooled down." And she went downstairs to the dining-room. Enormous logs were blazing in the hearth of the lofty room. The walls were hung with trophies of rifles and shotguns. The guests were flocking in from every side, shaking hands with the Comte d'Aigleroche, one of those typical country squires, heavily and powerfully built, who lives only for hunting and shooting. He was standing before the fire, with a large glass of old brandy in his hand, drinking the health of each new arrival. Hortense kissed him absently. "What, uncle? You, who are usually so sober?" "Pooh!" he said. "A man may surely indulge himself a little once a year." "Aunt will give you a scolding." "Your aunt has one of her sick headaches and is not coming down. Besides," he added gruffly, "it is not her business. And still less is it yours, my dear child." Prince Rénine came up to Hortense. He was a young man, very smartly dressed, with a narrow and rather pale face, whose eyes held by turns the gentlest and the harshest, the most friendly and the most satirical expression. He bowed to her, kissed her hand, and said: "May I remind you of your kind promise, dear madame?" "My promise?" "Yes, we agreed that we should repeat our delightful excursion of yesterday, and try to go over that old boarded-up place, the look of which made us so curious. It seems to be known as the Domaine des Halingres." She answered a little curtly: "I'm extremely sorry, monsieur, but it would be rather far, and I'm feeling a little done up. I shall go for a canter in the park and come indoors again." There was a pause. Then Serge Rénine said, smiling, with his eyes fixed on hers and in a voice which she alone could hear: "I am sure that you'll keep your promise, and that you'll let me come with you. It would be better." "For whom? For you, you mean?" "For you too, I assure you." She colored slightly, but did not reply, shook hands with a few people around her, and left the room. A groom was holding the horse at the foot of the steps. She mounted and set off towards the woods beyond the park. It was a cool, still morning. Through the leaves, which barely quivered, the sky showed crystalline blue. Hortense rode at a walk down winding avenues, which, in half an hour, brought her to a countryside of ravines and bluffs, intersected by the high road. She stopped. There was not a sound. Rossini must have stopped his engine and concealed the car in the thickets around the crossroads. She was 500 yards at most from that circular space. After hesitating for a few seconds, she dismounted, tied her horse carelessly so that he could release himself by the least effort and return to the house, shrouded her face in the long brown veil that hung over her shoulders, and walked on. As she expected, she saw Rossini directly she reached the first turn in the road. He ran up to her and drew her in the coppice. "Quick, quick! Oh, I was so afraid that you would be late, or even change your mind. And here you are. It seems too good to be true." She smiled. "You appear to be quite happy to do an idiotic thing." "I should think I am happy. And so will you be, I swear you will. Your life will be one long fairy tale. You shall have every luxury and all the money you can wish for." "I want neither money nor luxuries." "What then?" "Happiness." "You can safely leave your happiness to me." She replied jestingly: "I rather doubt the quality of the happiness which you would give me." "Wait, you'll see, you'll see." They had reached the mater. Rossini, still stammering expressions of delight, started the engine. Hortense stepped in and wrapped herself in a white cloak. The car followed the narrow, grassy path which led back to the crossroads, and Rossini was accelerating the speed when he was suddenly forced to pull up. A shot had rung out from the neighboring wood, on the right. The car was swerving from side to side. "A front tire burst!" shouted Rossini, leaping to the ground. "Not a bit of it!" cried Hortense. "Somebody fired!" "Impossible, my dear! Don't be so absurd!" At that moment, two slight shocks were felt, and two more reports were heard, one after the other, some way off and still in the wood. Rossini snarled: "The back tires burst now, both of them! But who, in the devil's name, can the ruffian be? Just let me get hold of him, that's all!" He clambered up the roadside slope. There was no one there. Moreover, the leaves of the coppice blocked the view. Damn it!" he swore. "You were right! Somebody was firing at the car. Oh, this is a bit thick. We shall be held up for hours. 3 tires to mend! But what are you doing, dear girl?" Hortense herself had alighted from the car. She ran to him, greatly excited. "I'm going." "But why?" "I want to know. Someone fired. I want to know who it was." "Don't let us separate, please." "Do you think I'm going to wait here for you for hours?" "What about your running away? All our plans—" "We'll discuss that to-morrow. Go back to the house.